The following is a preview of Revenge of the Khans, The Tale of Dannl Faytonni by Nick Schisler and Marcel Ryan, soon to be featured in Tales from the Galaxies Opera House. A slim, graying man walked quickly through the underlevels of Coruscant, a tall hat upon his head bobbing from side to side out of his control. He was meant to meet Coruscant security force staff in one of the many dim alleyways lining the street to transfer a prisoner to his custody, but he seemed to have miscalculated. The CSF droids holding his quarry were nowhere in sight. He poked his head down each alley as he passed, cursing that he could not locate the right one. Suddenly, without any warning, he heard the clanking and clattering of Durasteel stomping Durasteel. Following the sound, he quickly ducked into the closest alleyway. Moments later, he slowed his run to a march and straightened out his judicial uniform. "Halt! Right there! What is your business in the underlevels?" Dannl Faytonni demanded, standing ramrod straight as he surveyed three security droids flanking his old partner in crime, Achk Med-Beq. Med-Beq looked worse for wear, a fresh black eye throbbing opposite the tattoo that covered the other side of his face. In response, one of the droids spoke. "Sir, we were called to the scene after a reported breaking and entering. We caught this human fleeing the scene." "Very well, I'll take care of this personally. You are dismissed." Without waiting for an answer, Faytonni grabbed Med-Beq by the shoulder and began to escort him away. The droids stood still for a moment, their mechanical bodies displaying a sentient-like confusion. "Are you sure you do not require a convoy, sir?" Faytonni stopped abruptly and turned around. "What are you implying?" "You are an aging human, escorting a violent perpetrator through the underlevels. It would be best if you had reinforcements." "Aging? How dare you?" Faytonni turned to Med-Beq. "Wait here just a moment, up against that wall." Med-Beq rolled his eyes but leaned back to the wall. Faytonni spun back toward the CSF droids. "I ought to get your servos respanned. You don't know what I can do or where I've been. You think just because you aren't organic you won't eventually rust over and crumble like everything else in this bloody galaxy? I ordered the two of you to disassemble this droid and make me a spoon out of the scrap." Faytonni chose to believe he saw fear in the third droid's visual sensors. It stood silently and offered no resistance as the other two droids ripped it apart within seconds. A piece of the droid's Durasteel, once shaped like a forearm, was now bent into the shape of a spoon. Not one Faytonni would use for food, however. "Thank you." Faytonni stuffed the spoon in his pocket and once again grabbed Med-Beq by the shoulders to escort him. "You were supposed to slip away with the gems." "She wasn't supposed to be married," Achk Med-Beq shot back, nursing his black eye. "You were looking for jewelry and didn't notice a ring?" "Why would she have been in a place like that wearing a wedding ring?" Med-Beq stopped and held out his hand. "Pass me that spoon you just got." "What? Why?" Faytonni reluctantly parted with the utensil. "I need it for something. Oh, and I did get the gems, by the way." Med-Beq placed the reforged spoon on his tongue and pressed down and inward. Within moments he began to double over and started to make a gagging sound. "Bloody hell, MB, that's disgusting. You better clean those gems off before we fence them. And look what you did to my new spoon." "One still in there," Med-Beq panted between breaths. Faytonni stood and watched as his companion tried pounding his own stomach. All right, let me." Faytonni stood behind Med-Beq and began squeezing in rhythm. "Relax your larynx. That's what's giving it." The last gem shot out of Med-Beq's mouth and landed at the feet of a burly Bothan in a CSF uniform. "Trouble." The Bothan looked at the two men with a disgusted scowl and rolled his eyes. "Dannl Faytonni and Achk Med-Beq, Corellians, convicts, and con men."